We're now being joined by Tunji Abayomi. He's a lawyer and a public affairs analyst to look at the Niger Delta matter. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
This must have been some form of concern for you as a Nigerian. How did we get here again?
Well, the problem is the construction of the nation has promoted what I would call endemic injustice and corruption, essentially fed by abuse of power and some level of self-interest. I think the whole tragedy of Nigeria actually began with the military. Prior to the military, there was some level of rational equity in the relationship of the various ethnic groups. We must appreciate that this nation is actually placed on what I call in my book, three twisted pivots: region, religion, and ethnicity. And the military came pretending, basically, as if these things did not. Basically, it took advantage of the situation. People say how the whole wealth of the nation was condoned unjustly to feed the interests of individuals. It began through that process. You now find that in this nation today, every ethnic group is dissatisfied with the frame and the organization of the polity and the relationship. I think that's how we got to where. Unfortunately, the subsequent governments were simply touching the surface. They really did not go to the fundamental. And I have maintained again and again and again that the problem of this nation is that the groups that constitute Nigeria have never really sat together freely to agree on the terms.
The operative word there is freely, but one would have thought that we did that with the National Conference.
No. National Conference wasn't anything. First and foremost, if we want to achieve the type of organization I'm talking about, you don't do it by way of National Conference. You must first of all have different regional conferences in order for each region to raise the issues of concern and the solutions they want within the Nigerian equation. In other words, the Yoruba people will say, look, we'll come together, and they will be frank in their discussion. If we go to a national conference, you won't get that kind of frankness. The South-South will have their own conference. The Middle Belt will have their own conference, and so on and so forth. They will be able to come together, frankly discuss what are the issues, how do we want these nations to go, what are the relationship, equation, and so on and so forth. Thereafter, they can meet maybe in a representative assembly to come up with a constitution of the people of Nigeria, the peoples, not the concern of the people, but the concern of the peoples of Nigeria. But that has not happened. If we look at the National Convention, to my mind, I said it at that time. I'm sure, even in your program here, I said it. It was a bloody waste of time. You wasted 9 billion naira to achieve nothing. First of all, it wasn't placed on anything. There was no law to back it up. Most of the people were appointed by the president, not by the various groups that constitute Nigeria. So it is not a solution to the problem. This nation will move forward once it realizes that the fundamental problem is the lack of ideas.
Mr. Abayomi, listening to you, one is tempted to ask this question because so many Nigerians have come up to talk about the problems in different fora. different places, even in religious places, ethnic meetings, political circles, and they all come to what is known as identifying the problem of Nigeria. So without the national conference, or without the ethnic people coming, convoking a conference saying that these are true representatives who would speak on behalf of the constituents or the ethnic people, don't you think they will still have an inkling or an idea of what the problem truly is, in this case, as it relates to the Niger Delta?
Well, without something, yes, we may have, but the point is that you must appreciate that the principal's problem is the and the perception of iniquity. If you look at what the Niger Delta, their case, their position is that our region is abandoned. The wealth of our region is taken over and condoned by what I have called, the nation is basically governed what I call a corrupt, pitiless oligarchy. That's really what is governing this nation. Unfortunately, we have a situation where the president, who is now in power, isn't part of that group, but he's inheriting an endemic problem, which is not subject to easy solution, because he's been here for a very long time, and we keep touching the surface without actually going to. You cannot just merely paint a house and decorate it and make it beautiful when the foundation is shaking, it's not solid. It makes more sense to pay more attention to the foundation of the house.
But some say it would have been easier if you say that he's the president is not part of that oligarchy that is having a stronghold on the wealth of that region. That would have made it easier for him to move in and see how best he can bring about the much needed development for the Niger Delta.
Well, the problem is that the system makes it literally impossible. That's just the point. We are talking of a system that is vast, endemic, long-standing. So how much can he really do? The only way he can tackle it is to go to the fundamental. I had suggested this even to Obasanjo when he was in power. There was a day in his house. We were arguing about this matter, and I told him that the problem of this country is that this nation has no constitution. That is the problem. The constitution that we keep talking about is forced on the people. And when you have that kind of forced constitution, it leads to forced ideas that is dissatisfactory and unacceptable to a free people in the various ethnic groups. Why, for example, do we have OPC in Yoruba? Why do we have Egbesu in this? Why do we have Niger Delta, and so on and so forth? Tell me a nation that is run like that.
You're a lawyer, and you say we don't have a constitution.
Yes, we don't have a constitution. A constitution is a document that the people freely meet to agree. You never decree it is into law. The constitution we call our constitution was decreed upon us, forced upon us by Decree 24. If today you wipe out Decree 24, we don't have a constitution. It was forced on us. In fact, it has no legitimacy, because when the military came into power, it gave itself the power to make law for peace, order, and good government of Nigeria. It never gave itself the power to make a constitution. When it came to the point of giving us a constitution, which it had no power to give, it just calls it Decree 24. You don't decree a constitution, you agree on it as a people, and then you sign it. This is the document that is to guide us for the purposes of constituting a government over us. It is not the content of a constitution that validates it. It is the procedure of making a constitution, not the content.
Mr. Abayomi,
yes,
you're implying that there are no laws guarding Nigeria. Is that what you're implying?
That what?
There are no laws
There are laws. No, I'm
You just
saying
said
a
that
constitution. There's a difference between a law and a constitution. A constitution is an agreement between the people. A law is brought about by mere legislative. The legislature is a consequence of a constitution.
So, as we are right now,
Yes.
do we have a basis for existence?
As a people, yes, we have a basis.
As a nation?
Yes, as a nation, yes. We have a basis for the basis for existence is that we want to come together. But what are the terms? We're already in a geographical, area. Now, if different people in a geographical area, and you must understand the structure, the divine structure of this nation is unique in the sense that the different people are strategically located in different areas. It's unique. In other words, the Igbos are in the east. They are strategically located there in the east. The Yorubas are in the west, strategically, organically, divinely put there. The Middle Belt, they are there, strategic. So you see that the structure itself, divinely, is unique. Now, if you now want to have that kind of to form a nation, you need the people to come together to sit down and agree on those terms. That has never happened in this nation.
There are those who would really disagree with you because
Yes.
they'll say, how do you expect a nation 50 years plus
Yes.
to go back and rework its terms of coming together? The Bishop of Sokoto was quoted as saying, it is not the nation that needs a restructuring, it's the people. How would that weigh against coming together?
First of all, what's the difference between the nation and the people? It's the people that make the nation. And they are not going back. They are going forward. Because if you look at the past, it has brought us an imperfect society. We have been in this situation since 1960. We're not moving forward. If you look at, why do we have a situation that has so much and achieves so little everywhere? This nation, if you take the statistics, 90% of our citizens are dissatisfied, frustrated. Everybody is frustrated about the nation. You can't have anything, including in part of the world. No water, no electricity, no road, no hospital, no education, nothing. So why are we where we are? And we want to continue like that. Is it possible to continue with the past, the imperfect past, in order to achieve some level of... It is not possible. So when you say there is the people that need... What are you talking about?